If I told you that with just $50,000, you could buy a real home in Europe, get a long-term visa, and live comfortably between turquoise seas or snowy mountains, would you believe me? While in the US, $50,000 barely covers 6 months of rent, in other parts of the world, that same amount can buy back the life you once dreamed of, where you wake up to the sound of waves instead of traffic, where morning coffee costs $1, and your neighbors offer you wine instead of bills. In 2025, as housing prices in America hit record highs and the dream of home ownership slips further away, more and more Americans are quietly doing something bold, leaving home to live freer, cheaper, and happier lives. And the most surprising part? You don't need $500,000 to do it. Just $50,000, and a little courage to start over in a place you may never have imagined. So stay until the end of the video, where I'll reveal 5 countries that are shocking the world with their real estate prices, easy visas, and rental returns so good they'll make you wonder. Why are you still in America? Dream it. Pack it. Go. 5. Albania. The Mediterranean gem that's waking up. Some countries take centuries to be noticed, and Albania is one of them. A gem once covered by the dust of time, now sparkling again under the Mediterranean sun. Here, with just $50,000, you don't just buy a home, you buy a new life. Slower, quieter, more authentic. From Vlora, where the Adriatic and Ionian seas meet, to Durrës, the ancient port city where traces of Italian heritage still linger in every window frame, Albania is quickly becoming the secret whispered among savvy investors. Small 37 Melkau's apartments sell for around $45,000, and one-bedroom units in Durrës go for about $54,000. With a bit of renovation, you'll be amazed that, for the price of a pickup truck in the US, you can own a balcony overlooking the sea. The market here isn't as loud as Spain or Italy, but the returns are enough to make anyone turn their head. In Saranda and Himare, gross rental yields reach 8 to 12%, and some properties even hit 15% during the peak tourist season. Even in larger cities like Durrës or Vlora, yields stay stable between 6 to 10%. With European tourists flocking in greater numbers each year, a small beachfront apartment in Albania can easily become a true summer money machine. Taxes are as light as the sea breeze, 15% on rental income, 15% capital gains tax, and an annual property tax of only 0.2%, practically symbolic. After deducting operating expenses, the net yield still hovers around 4 to 7%, a rate that makes many European investors jealous. But what makes Albania truly special isn't the money. It's the residency policy, one of the easiest in Europe. Here, you don't need to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you own at least 50% of a property, you can apply for a temporary residence permit, a 1-year legal residence that can be renewed indefinitely as long as you keep your property. No golden visa, no bureaucracy, no minimum investment threshold, just a small apartment by the sea, and you're a legal resident of Europe. Life in Albania moves so gently that people simply stop counting money. In Vlora, you can live comfortably on $700–900 per month, eating out, shopping at local markets, and sipping wine by the sea from time to time. In Tirana, the vibrant capital, the cost of living is still only around $100–300 per month. A grilled fish lunch with salad, bread, and a glass of wine costs just $6 to $7. An authentic Italian espresso, only $1. With a growing expat community, warm-hearted locals, a mild climate, and endless blue seas, Albania offers a life that's beautiful, affordable, and surprisingly real. When it comes to healthcare, Albania's system is improving rapidly. Major hospitals such as American Hospital Tirana and Hygieia Hospital meet European standards, with English-speaking doctors and very low prices, around $25.40 for a private consultation. Basic international health insurance of about $60 per month is enough to cover comprehensive care. For serious cases, patients can be transferred to Greece or Italy within a 45-minute flight, making the Balkan healthcare network a reliable safety net for foreigners. As for safety, according to Numbeo 2025, Tirana and Vlora score higher than Rome and Athens, with a safety index of 62/100, an impressive figure for the region. Serious crime is rare, locals are friendly, and the expat community, especially Americans and Germans working remotely, continues to grow every year. Of course, every gem has its flaws. Albania still faces property ownership risks, a legacy of decades of transition. More than 400,000 buildings were once built without proper permits, meaning not every property has clear title. Anyone buying here needs a reliable local lawyer, someone who will verify every page, every stamp, every zoning document. In addition, bureaucracy can be slow and complicated, requiring a bit of patience and sometimes a smile. And perhaps that is the most valuable thing of all. Because in Albania, $50,000 doesn't just buy you an apartment. It buys you a place in life itself, where you wake up to the sound of waves instead of an alarm clock, sip your morning coffee under the sun instead of in front of a Zoom screen, and learn to slow down in a world that's rushing itself to exhaustion. Albania, the Balkan Riviera, a place where you don't just find a home, but find yourself again. Maybe you come here for the property prices, but you stay for the feeling of truly being alive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because in the next video, I'll reveal places even cheaper than today, where the dream of freedom is just one plane ticket away. 4. Cambodia. The ASEAN frontier, where the clocks stop but the money keeps flowing. There are places where time seems to slow down. Coffee is still as cheap as it was in 1995, and $50,000 can turn into a whole new chapter of your life. That place is Cambodia, the most dynamic frontier of Southeast Asia, where people come to make profit, but stay for the peace. In 2022, Mr. David Hall, 58, an American engineer from Colorado, decided to quit his draining job in the U.S. after the pandemic. "I just couldn't take it anymore. Taxes up, housing up, joy down," he said. He sold his old Ford for $19,000, and with $45,000 left in his account, flew with his wife to Phnom Penh. 2 months later, they bought a 33-square-meter studio in Tul Kork district for $42,500 USD, right inside a licensed project under the Cambodia My Second Home CM2H program. After registering as investors, they received a 10-year residence visa that can be renewed indefinitely, and even allows them to apply for citizenship after 5 years. Now, every morning, David wakes up on his balcony overlooking the flow of tuk-tuks below, where a Khmer coffee shop sells iced coffee with milk for $1. "I used to pay $2,300 in rent back in Denver," he laughs. "Now, with just $900 a month, I have my own apartment, great food, fast internet, and genuine smiles every time I go to the market." He rents out his old apartment in the U.S., sending the cash flow back to Cambodia, where the cost of living is so low that $1,000 a month is enough for the couple to live comfortably, travel, and occasionally enjoy an ice-cold Angkor beer by the Mekong River. David isn't the only one. In Siem Reap, many small investors are doing the same, buying 45-square-meter apartments for $44,999 and renting them out short-term, earning yields of 9 to 12% thanks to the tourism wave rebounding after COVID. In Phnom Penh, The average rental yield reaches 7 to 10%, and the market is fully dollarized. You buy, sell, and rent everything in USD. Even when Cambodia begins implementing a 20% capital gains tax in 2026, the 80% deduction mechanism reduces the effective tax rate to around 4% of the selling price, cheaper than almost anywhere else in the region. What makes Cambodia stand out is the simplest path to residency in all of Asia. No requirement for hundreds of thousands of dollars. No minimum stay required. All you need is a $50,000 USD investment in an approved real estate project, and you'll receive a 10-year visa, and after 5 years, you can even apply for a Cambodian passport, which allows visa-free travel across ASEAN and parts of East Asia. For many, it's not just paperwork, it's a ticket to freedom. The cost of living is so low, it's almost absurd. A full Khmer meal, grilled fish, white rice, sour soup, and fresh fruit, costs only $2. An iced coffee is $1. Electricity, water, and internet combined cost less than $80 a month. A single person can live well on $600 a month, while a couple can live comfortably on $900, $1,200, including a nice apartment in the city center. Cambodia isn't just cheap, it's genuine. You can visit the morning market, buy vegetables directly from farmers, hear children laughing by the lake, and feel like you're truly living, not just surviving. Of course, the country has its downsides. The Constitution prohibits foreigners from directly owning land, meaning you can only buy a condominium on an upper floor. You can't buy a standalone house with land. And here, you must know how to choose trustworthy partners, because systemic corruption remains a real issue. Some inexperienced investors have lost money after buying into unapproved projects, or faced long delays in receiving property titles due to cumbersome bureaucracy. But as David said, in the US, I paid $3,000 a month just to be stressed. Here, I pay $900, and in return, I get peace. While many other countries have closed their doors to people with smaller budgets, Cambodia still smiles and welcomes them. A country raw enough to be cheap, yet modern enough to be safe. A nation opening its arms not just to investors, but to anyone who wants to start life over at the price of an old car. If you have $50,000, would you dare to do what David did? Sell your old car and buy yourself a new life in Cambodia? Leave a comment below. Who knows? The next journey in this video might just be yours. 3. Chorchingjum. The crossroad of freedom, where East meets West and the $50,000 dream begins. Is there still a country in Europe where you can buy property, make profit, and gain residency, all for just $50,000? If your answer is impossible, then you've never been to Georgia, a small nation nestled among the mighty Caucasus Mountains, where East meets West, and freedom is considered the greatest wealth. In 2024, one event caught the world's attention. Batumi, Georgia's famous seaside city on the Black Sea, was ranked by the Financial Times among the top 10 most promising destinations for real estate investment. The reason? Prices remain low, tourism is booming, and the government is almost completely open to foreigners. The country's economy is growing impressively. GDP in 2024 rose by 7.5%, tourism increased by more than 40%, and the local currency, the lari, was rated by the IMF as having the best inflation control in the region. International hotel chains such as Hilton, Radisson, and Wyndham are expanding their investments in Batumi and Kutaisi, creating a strong ripple effect on the rental property market. And if you think this is just a destination for investors, listen to the story of Marianne Lewis, a 52-year-old American teacher from Texas. She came to Georgia in 2021 just to teach English for a year, but then fell in love with the place. She bought a small 38 square meter apartment in Tbilisi for $47,000, at first to live in, then later rented it out for $520 a month on Airbnb. In the US, $47,000 only buys you an old car, she said. But here I bought freedom. Now she has a residence visa, a local bank account, and plans to stay long-term. Georgia is also one of the few countries with a flat 1% income tax on rental earnings for legally registered individuals, along with a capital gains tax of only 5%. This makes the small nation a light tax haven of Europe, but not a fake paradise, because its economy is genuinely growing and sustainable. However, to live here, you must love what is real. Georgia is not a place of luxury resorts or bustling nightlife. It is where you hear church bells echoing through the Caucasus mist, where old men still offer you a glass of homemade wine and say, in broken English, "Welcome to my Georgia." People here are poorer than in Western Europe, but warmer than anywhere you've ever been. With $50,000, you can buy an apartment, invest in rentals, or simply rebuild your life. Because Georgia doesn't sell you a house, it sells you a sense of belonging. If you have $50,000 and a chance to live in Europe for an entire year without a visa, would you dare to try Georgia, where wine, snow-capped mountains, and freedom coexist? Leave a comment below. Who knows, the next video might take you to Batumi, the city where the sun rises over the Black Sea and shines straight into your dreams. 2. Philippines. The tropical SRRV option, where $50,000 buys you both a home and permanent residency. Can you believe that with just $50,000, you can become a permanent resident of an English-speaking tropical country with thousands of emerald islands? In the Philippines, that's completely real, thanks to the SRRV, Special Resident Retiree Visa program. Unlike other countries that require hundreds of thousands in investment, the SRRV only requires $50,000 for those under 50, or $15,000 for retirees over 50 with a pension. This amount isn't locked. You can use it to buy a condo or invest in real estate, turning a visa into a home, and a home into an income-generating asset. In Cebu, Dumaguete, or Davao, you can still buy a 35 square meter studio for $45,000, $50,000 just minutes from the beach, with modern amenities and a friendly expat community. Americans, Australians, and Koreans are flocking here for one simple reason. It's affordable, beautiful, and easy to settle in. Average rental yields in the Philippines reach 5 to 6%, supported by a young population and a strong tourism sector. The government's tax policy is straightforward. If your rental income is under $3,000 per year, about $52,000, you pay a flat 8% tax, and the capital gains tax on property sales is only 6%, one of the lowest rates in the region. The cost of living here is 70% lower than in the US. With $1,000 a month, you can rent a nice apartment, eat out every day, have a housekeeper, and still have money left for a few island trips. Locals speak natural English. The culture is warm and hospitable, and life moves at a slow but happy pace. Here, every small thing feels charming, from a $3 meal of rice, grilled fish, and coconut water, to evenings by the beach listening to live music. Of course, no paradise is perfect. Foreigners cannot own land. They can only buy condominiums in buildings where foreign ownership does not exceed 40%. And because the Philippines lies on the Pacific Ring of Fire, it occasionally faces typhoons and earthquakes. Choosing a safe location is essential. But in return, you gain something money in the West can't buy: sunshine, the sea, and peace. Here, every morning feels like a gift. The sound of waves, the scent of coffee, and the sincere smile of a stranger. If you have $50,000 and the chance to live forever under the sun with a permanent visa, would you dare to choose the Philippines as your home? Comment below and let me know if you're ready to trade gray city streets for the blue sea. Subscribe so you don't miss the final country. 1. Serbia, the heart of the Balkans, where $50,000 buys you both peace and a home in the middle of Europe. Have you ever thought that with just $50,000, you could own a 2-story house in Europe, with a yard, a grapevine, and neighbors who invite you for wine every afternoon? In Serbia, that's not just possible. It's easier than you think. Serbia lies at the heart of the Balkans, bordering Hungary and Greece. Yet housing prices here are so low, they astonish the entire continent. In towns like Niš, Kragujevac, or Zaječar, you can buy a traditional 2-story house with a large yard and red-tiled roof for just $35,000, $45,000 USD. And if you prefer the city, Belgrade, the peaceful capital on the Danube River, still offers small apartments around $50,000, just a few minutes' walk from the center. Foreigners can buy and fully own property in their own name. No citizenship, no company required, and simply by proving legal ownership or a stable income of about $1,000 per month, you can apply for a temporary residence permit, a long-term visa renewable indefinitely. After 5 years, you qualify for permanent residency, and even Serbian citizenship if you wish. A clear, transparent, and welcoming path, something many European countries have already closed off. Serbia's financial performance is steady and genuine. Rental yields in major cities reach 5 to 6%, while living costs remain up to 70% lower than in Western Europe. In Belgrade, a couple can live comfortably on $1,200 a month, including housing, food, healthcare, and entertainment. An espresso costs $1, a full local meal $6, and the music is free. Because in Serbia, life itself is a song. Serbians are warm, witty, and full of life. They'll invite you for a shot of rakija, the traditional plum brandy, and share stories of football, war, and love. In spring, cherry blossoms line the streets. In autumn, golden leaves blanket the parks. This is a place where you live slowly, without racing against time. Because in Serbia, no one's in a hurry. Of course, this country isn't for those who crave luxury. It doesn't have turquoise seas or glamorous resorts, but it has the warmth of its people, the freedom of open skies, and the safety of a Europe still pure at heart. With $50,000, you can buy a home, a small garden, and peaceful evenings reading by the fireplace, listening to the rain fall on old red tiles. Serbia doesn't sell dreams. It sells gentle reality. If you had $50,000, where would you choose to live? In a bustling city, or in a Serbian village where peace is measured by the sound of church bells and the smiles of your neighbors? In a world where $50,000 in the US barely buys half a pickup truck, that same amount elsewhere can buy you a new life, with a house, a residency visa, and true freedom. From Albania, the Balkan gem opening its doors to foreign investors, to Cambodia, where a 10-year visa comes with a small apartment, to Georgia, where you can live all year in Europe without a visa, the Philippines, where the SRRV turns your deposit into a home, and Serbia, the gentle heart of Europe, where every morning rings with church bells and the aroma of coffee as rich as the people themselves. 5 countries, 5 colors, but one shared message. You don't have to be rich to live well. You just have to know where life is worth living. If you're holding $50,000 and wondering, can I really buy freedom? The answer is yes. If you dare to leave, dare to begin again, and dare to believe that happiness isn't found in property prices, but in the peace you feel when you wake up. And now it's your turn. If you had $50,000, where would you choose to live? Leave a comment below, because the next video will take you to the place you just picked.